My roommate trashed my PC, so I bricked his crypto wallet and exposed his scam coin, ***. Let me preface this by saying, don't mess with a CS major who knows how to socially engineer your entire life. I go to a well-known West Coast university and I'm currently a junior studying computer science. I've always been a bit of a tech nerd, grew up building PCs, modding games, and more recently, I've been trying to grow a modest Twitch channel where I stream gameplay and coding sessions. I'm not famous or anything, but I've built a small loyal community of around 2,000 followers. That little corner of the internet has been a lifeline for me during the stress of school and life in general. My PC setup is my baby: custom loop cooling, dual 4K monitors, RTX 4090, custom keyboard, and a microphone arm I modded myself. Took me over 2 years of working internships, tutoring underclassmen, and freelancing just to afford all the parts. I didn't buy it all at once. I built it piece by piece, testing and improving it along the way. It wasn't just a setup, it was the physical manifestation of everything I've built for myself. My roommate Brandon, on the other hand, is the kind of guy who thinks watching 2 YouTube videos makes you an expert. He took one intro to business course freshman year and suddenly decided he was destined to be a crypto millionaire. He's the worst kind of crypto bro, the kind that wears knockoff designer shoes, drinks canned espresso at midnight, and constantly talks about the hustle while doing absolutely nothing of substance. He doesn't go to class anymore. He walks around with this weird superiority complex, claiming college is a scam while still living in a dorm paid for by his parents. He has a podcast, of course. It has 30 listeners. The title is some garbage like Chain Gains. Brandon is always scheming. Last semester he tried to start an NFT project based on dog-themed motivational quotes. Before that, he tried to sell a course on how to flip meme coins. I'm not even kidding. His latest masterpiece was something he called Dogebra. Yes, Dogebra. A self-declared meme coin built on the Ethereum network, supposedly the next Shiba. His pitch deck was nothing more than a bunch of AI-generated art and cringy slides that literally said things like, "Get rich with the pack," and "Decentralize or die." The guy couldn't write a smart contract if his life depended on it. He had some anonymous dev from a Discord group build it for him, and even that code was clearly ripped from existing tokens with only the names changed. Anyway, about a month ago, I had to go home for a weekend because my mom was going in for surgery. Nothing life-threatening, but it was serious enough that I wanted to be there for her. I told Brandon I'd be out of town, and he barely even acknowledged it. Just nodded and went back to watching Andrew Tate clips or whatever. When I came back Sunday night, I opened our dorm door and felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. My entire setup, everything, was trashed. And I don't mean like, moved around. I mean utterly destroyed. My PC was cracked open, side panel shattered on the floor. The GPU had been ripped out like a limb. My monitor screens were spiderwebbed. The keyboard looked like it had been stomped on. My chair, covered in what looked like ramen, peanut butter, and hot sauce. It was dripping down the backrest like someone intentionally marinated it. My shelves were knocked over. My mic boom arm was bent. And worst of all, the radiator for my custom loop was leaking across the desk, dripping onto the carpet. I froze. My vision tunneled. I thought maybe we were robbed. Then I heard laughter from Brandon's room. He came out holding his phone, still recording. "Bro. You're back. Dude, you should have seen your face. It's a prank, bro. Lighten up. It's just a joke, dude. Chill." He actually thought this was funny. He called it content and said it was going to blow up on TikTok. Apparently he was going to title it PC Master Race Gets Humbled. I didn't say a word to him. Not one. I just walked out, called a friend, and stayed on their couch that night. I couldn't sleep. That PC wasn't just a machine, it had my entire portfolio, my resume site, multiple class projects, a few freelance game mods I was working on, and footage I had been editing for my YouTube channel. Brandon hadn't just trashed a computer. He trashed years of work. And he called it a joke. I spent the next day quietly putting together a plan. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to make him pay in a way that would make sure he never forgot it. Brandon is beepy, but he's also reckless. He constantly brags about his wallets and investments in our shared spaces. He once showed me his crypto portfolio on his laptop, not realizing that I noticed something really, really stupid. He had a folder on his desktop titled "Do Not Delete Keys" inside. A plain text file with his MetaMask seed phrase. Just sitting there. Now, let me make this clear, I'm not a criminal. I don't go around hacking people. But if someone leaves their front door open and then burns down my house, I'm not above walking through their door and flipping a few lights off on the way out. I used the seed phrase to open his wallet on a burner laptop using a secure Linux boot environment. No login traces. The wallet was legit. It had a good amount of Ethereum, a few smaller tokens, and most importantly, the pre-mint supply of Dogebra, which he hadn't yet distributed to his investors. His plan, as I overheard from his loud Zoom calls, was to use hype from a few Twitter influencers to launch the coin, then dump his stash right before the price crashed, classic rug pull. So I got to work. I downloaded the contract code from GitHub. It wasn't even private, he just renamed the repo. I cloned it, rewrote the functions to lock transfers, renounced ownership, and created a burn function that would auto-trigger when certain liquidity conditions were met. I scheduled everything using a timestamp function to trigger at the exact time of his launch event. Oh yeah, he was planning a launch party. He actually invited people over to our dorm, like this was some kind of product premiere. Pizza, booze, music, the whole deal. He had 12 guys in there, all talking about how Dogebra was going to be the next moonshot. I waited in my room, door closed. As soon as he confirmed the contract deployment, I connected the wallet and executed the burn protocol. Tokens, gone. Liquidity pool, drained. Smart contract, bricked. Ownership, null. Then I went one step further. I posted a full expose on our university subreddit, complete with screenshots from his public investor doc, timestamps from the smart contract burn, and side-by-side comparisons of his code and the original source he plagiarized. The title? Beware, student behind Dogebra coin plans rug pull. Here's everything you need to know. It exploded. Within an hour, people at the party were getting notifications. The Discord server he made went into meltdown. One of the investors, a guy from a nearby frat, came pounding on our door screaming for a refund. Brandon was scrambling, clicking through MetaMask and staring in disbelief. He looked pale, confused, almost scared. He called the dev he paid from Discord. No response. Called a cousin. Nothing. Called his mom. Started crying. That night was glorious. Over the next few days, the fallout was brutal. He got dragged on Reddit, Discord, Twitter. Someone even found his fake LinkedIn page and started posting, before and after, screenshots of his bravado. His TikTok prank video got leaked and used as evidence of his narcissism. One of the investors filed a complaint with campus administration, and even though it's technically outside school jurisdiction, the university started an ethics review, since he used his school email in some of the documents. Brandon moved out within a week. Told everyone he was taking a break to focus on mental health. No one bought it. I never admitted it was me. Still haven't. He still thinks it was some anonymous hacker or Chinese FUD agents, as he called it on a now-deleted post. I got a new PC, thanks to donations from my stream after I told a vague story time about losing my setup to a roommate's prank. My community came through in ways I never expected. I rebuilt better, stronger, faster. So Brandon, if you're out there and still wondering who turned Dogebra into Doge dead, it was me. And I don't regret a single keystroke. TLDR, my crypto bro roommate trashed my custom-built PC as a prank while I was away. In retaliation, I used the private key he stupidly stored in a public folder to access his MetaMask wallet, bricked his scam meme coin, burned all tokens, and exposed his rug pull scheme to our entire college. He lost over $50,000 in potential profit, got humiliated, and moved out in disgrace. He still doesn't know I did it. They tried to frame me for stealing, so I hacked the security footage. This happened during my last year working at a retail electronics store. I won't name the chain, but let's just say they wear blue polos and pretend to know everything about tech when most of them couldn't tell a SATA cable from a shoelace. I worked in the computing department. I was the go-to guy for setting up laptops, diagnosing basic tech issues, and walking clueless customers through why their $300 Acer wasn't meant for gaming. I'd been working there part-time through college, and despite how corporate and soul-crushing it could be, I'd carved out a decent niche. I knew my stuff, never upsold doo-doo people didn't need, and helped a lot of older folks just trying to stay connected to their grandkids. I was on good terms with almost everyone, except for two people, Kyle and Michelle. Kyle was a supervisor, in title only. Nepotism hire. His uncle was a district manager, so no matter how often he showed up late or tried to flirt with customers, no one touched him. Michelle, meanwhile, was the front lane team lead. Picture someone who peaked in high school and thinks managing a cashier schedule is equivalent to running a Fortune 500 company. Together, they had this toxic, mean girl meets frat boy vibe. They gossiped about everyone, manipulated new hires, and got off on power trips. I mostly kept my distance, until the day the accusation happened. It was a Saturday. We were slammed. Some new MacBooks had just launched, and people were coming in trying to trade in old devices or ask if the new ones could run Roblox. I was finishing up with a customer when Kyle walked up and told me I needed to go to the back office. His tone was weird, overly official, stiff. I asked what was up, and he just said, "Just go, man. Not a big deal." When I walked into the manager's office, our store manager, Lisa, was waiting with her arms crossed. Michelle was sitting beside her with a smug look on her face, holding a printout. Lisa didn't waste time. "We have a problem. It's come to our attention that you were seen pocketing AirPods during your shift last weekend." My stomach dropped. "What? That's not true." Michelle slid the paper across the table. It was a screenshot, grainy security cam footage from the receiving room. It showed a person with dark hair, like me, wearing a blue polo, like all of us, holding a box of AirPods and seemingly slipping them into their pocket. Except, I hadn't even worked that shift. I knew for a fact I wasn't in the building that day. I was home nursing the flu. I had even sent Lisa an email with a doctor's note. I told her that immediately. Lisa looked at the paper, then at Michelle. "Do you have proof you weren't here?" "Yes," I said. "Check the schedule." "And I emailed you a doctor's note that day." Michelle jumped in. "Well, schedules get changed. People swap shifts all the time. That could have been him." That's when I knew something deeper was going on. Michelle wanted me gone. Why? Maybe because I once reported her for refusing to give a lunch break to a 17-year-old seasonal employee. Or maybe she and Kyle just thought I was an easy target. I repeated myself calmly. I didn't work that day. That's not me in the footage. And I want to see the original video. Not just a screenshot. Lisa frowned, clearly uncomfortable. The footage is archived. I'll have to ask loss prevention to request it from corporate. Translation: I was supposed to fold and resign out of fear. But they messed with the wrong guy. What Michelle and Kyle didn't know is that in addition to being a computer nerd, I was also a digital forensics minor in college. I just finished a class on video authentication and data integrity. I knew how to spot altered footage, and more importantly, I knew how to access our store's security system. See, while corporate handles long-term storage, recent footage is kept locally for about a week on a tiny, poorly protected system sitting in a locked cabinet in the back tech room. And guess who had access as part of his role helping set up demo devices and running inventory diagnostics? That's right, me. So that night, after close, I asked one of the newer associates, someone I'd trained and who liked me, to accidentally leave the tech room door unlocked during cleaning. I came in under the guise of retrieving my forgotten water bottle and slid into the back room with a USB stick. The system wasn't password protected. I plugged in, copied the full footage from the alleged theft day, and left. At home, I queued it up. I scrubbed through every camera angle from the time Michelle claimed I was on shift. And there it was. The person in the screenshot wasn't me. It was Kyle. Same hair, same general build, but a different name tag. If you zoomed in, you could just make out the reflective badge. He had taken the AirPods, slipped them into his jacket, then later doctored the footage or had Michelle screenshot it at a precise moment to make it ambiguous. They chose a frame where the name wasn't visible, and the lighting made the skin tone harder to differentiate. I clipped the footage. I compiled the time-stamped video files. Then I dug into the access logs for the security system and found something even better. Michelle had logged in on the day they printed the screenshot, and exported only a snippet. That meant she saw the full video, and chose to hide it. Now armed with real receipts, I emailed everything to Lisa, CC'd the regional HR manager, whose email I found in the employee portal, and labeled the subject line, false accusation and attempted retaliation, evidence attached. It took less than 24 hours. Lisa called me in the next day, this time visibly shaken and apologetic. HR was already involved. They brought in a corporate investigator. Kyle was suspended immediately. Michelle was asked to leave pending investigation. Neither returned. A week later, I received a formal apology from corporate, a modest severance offer, which I took, because screw staying there, and an assurance that my employee record would reflect voluntary resignation in good standing. I used the extra time to finish my capstone project and landed a full-time job 2 months later at a cybersecurity firm, where I now help clients avoid the exact kind of sloppy security that almost ruined my reputation. Funny how life works. To this day, I still keep a backup of the footage in my cloud storage. Not out of spite, but as a reminder, never let people rewrite the truth, and always keep your own receipts. TLDR, coworkers at my electronics store job tried to frame me for stealing AirPods by faking security footage and showing a misleading screenshot. They didn't know I had access to the full camera system. I retrieved the actual footage, proved it wasn't me, it was one of them, and sent the evidence to HR. They both got fired, and I walked away clean, with a job in cybersecurity.